Well, hello YouTube. It is me, Darkside Letters, and today I'm joined by my good friend Joe. Joe, thank you for coming.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Now, as many of y'all know, there's a lot of craziness just going everywhere in the entertainment industry. We're just here, crack a few drinks, and talk about it. So, Joe, what's going on?
Well, we were talking earlier. Um, Boy, we talked about a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
We had some gold going on.
we did.
Let's see. You're talking about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles versus Batman, which I haven't seen yet. I really do want to see that.
I'm telling you, like, it surprised me. Like, I read the comic, and it's based off the comic that came out in 2015, because I was back from deployment. And there is some subtle changes, but for all in all, it really is a good movie, and it definitely earned its PG-13 rating.
Well, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me because, you go back to the OG Ninja Turtles, and they were like really dark and violent.
God, yeah, the comics.
I mean, like, I think if you could capture 80s Ninja Turtles and 80s Batman, you know, you could probably go beyond a PG-13 rating, even.
Yeah.
Because they got pretty dark, pretty gritty. Of course, Ninja Turtles was kind of, I guess, a pastiche of those kinds of comics, like the 80s kinds of comics, because you have, references to, like, Frank Miller's Daredevil, all over it. And also the X-Men and Teen Titans, early Teen Titans started off pretty dark.
Oh yeah, it did.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I never got to read many of the old comics, but I do know that with the TMNT one, first it started off like haha hee hee, and then it started getting serious, and then it was at the point where they were even using guns against their enemies, if I remember correctly. And didn't Donatello get his shell cracked and he died?
I can't remember. I know. I feel like one of them died. It's probably Donatello.
Yeah, because I remember someone telling me that in the original comic, Donatello got his shell cracked, and he ended up dying because he broke his back. And then that's who's the skate? Casey Jones.
Yeah.
He replaced Donatello. But it's been a minute.
I don't know. I do remember vaguely like one of them dying, but like at that point, like I wasn't really.
And it's kind of fun when you probably know the comics more. I'm assuming, but when you get to the show around that time frame, it was definitely
yeah, the show was the complete opposite. Because they were doing, I mean, what they do now, like what Disney's doing. I don't want to get you started on Disney, but they were making it marketable.
Oh yeah.
The cartoon was like, let's take this property and let's make it marketable. And how do you make it marketable? So you make it appeal to kids so you can sell toys.
Where you get Shredder, where he's cracking jokes like every other scene.
Yeah, so because that's where money comes from cartoons. It doesn't come from a cartoon or ad revenue. It comes from toy sales. And like when you get really inside baseball into some of these toy sales, and like some of the philosophies about it. I mean, it's a little famous right now, but it's part of the reason Young Justice got canned.
Really?
And even the original Teen Titans, it wasn't because they weren't selling toys, but it's because they were selling toys to girls as much as boys. And they have a philosophy of the boys' aisle is for boys, and the girls' aisle is for girls. And you can't have girls go into the boys' aisle to buy boys' toys. This is literally how they think, and it doesn't make any sense to anybody.
No.
But it is documented that these are the reasons they can some of these shows. Because Teen Titan, I have a 7-year-old daughter, and she loves Teen Titans. Of course, she likes Teen Titans Go. She is 7, and she's pretty much over it. But, she likes Raven, she likes Starfire. They were very central characters to that show.
I mean, my girls, they watch them too.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen, a few episodes. So what are you supposed to do? Your girls are like, hey, come sit down, watch this with us.
Mm-hmm.
You can't resist. You just can't.
I don't think the show is as bad to people that have no concept of the original Teen Titans.
I was actually just about to say that.
Or even the Teen Titans in general. Like, if these were 5 characters not tied to characters that people cared about, like, so they created 5 original superheroes who were just there to be goofballs, I think more people would probably like the show. That's probably like the least popular opinion on the internet, and I don't know how much people care about Teen Titans Go now at this point. But I mean, I just kind of brought it up because.
Did you see the movie though?
I did.
And did you see the end credits?
Yes, I did.
I know that got a lot of people excited because, I mean, what other reason the original 2005 maybe Teen Titans that came out on Cartoon Network?
Yeah, it was probably around that time.
And when it came out, it ended. It ended on a cliffhanger. Terra came back.
Yeah, because that was actually when I was just living over that way with my roommate Jeremy. So it would have been about 2004 or so.
It left on a cliffhanger. It's like, we want to know, why is Terra back?
Yeah.
What's going on? And then it canned. But, I mean, there was one episode of Teen Titans Go I found hilarious where they were fighting, who's the guy with the remote?
Oh, Control Freak. Yeah.
Where he's in Teen Titans Go and he's like, I'll cancel you like I did the last Titans.
Yeah.
And they're like, what do you mean?
Yeah,
and they watch the whole series and they're just like, you canceled that series? You monster! And he's just like, okay. In retrospect, canceling them was a mistake.
Yeah, I mean, I do like. They've got some good episodes where they get really meta.
They do.
And
all,
like,
all the obvious puns.
I appreciate it. I mean, like, some of the episodes make me want to gouge my eyes out.
Yeah, like, I mean...
And I think the oversaturation from Cartoon Network really made people hate it. Because, like, that show came out, and they had some shows that were starting to get good. They had some shows that were, like, wrapping up, like, some of their... Like, Adventure Time, and regular show were, like, coming to the end. And they kind of started, like, this new era of Cartoon Network.
They did.
And those endings, those series finales got like almost no attention at all because they were drowning you in Teen Titans Go. It was literally 80% of the program.
Yeah, Teen Titans Go, Unikitty.
Yeah, Unikitty. Oh my God, Izzy loves some Unikitty now.
And they're bringing back Edda and Eddie, but it just looks complete.
I have not watched Cartoon Network in probably a year now.
I don't blame you.
And like Steven Universe, and like I don't know if you like Steven, but I like that show. All right, and I understand that you don't like this show, and I understand.
It's okay.
But the story is really good story. All right, it's very emotional, and especially when you have kids.
This is my opinion on Steven Universe.
Okay.
All right, I watched it all the way up to the Peridot, I believe, the little green gem.
Yeah.
I watched it all the way up to there. I haven't seen it since then. I've seen tidbits of what happened afterwards, but it's not that I'm not agreeing with you. Steven Universe does have an interesting storyline, but personally, I believe a lot of the dancing that the gems do to fuse together is very overly sexual.
Well, I mean, not to say that you're right, but in other countries, a lot of that stuff is edited out. Like they won't show. Like
Fair.
in the UK.
Fair.
Like in the UK.
Don't blame them.
Like the episode with the song "What Can I Do for You." It's like a flashback. It's the first one where you see Rainbow Quartz. Yeah, you can't watch that. Can't watch that scene in the UK. They're like, this is how
I'm just gonna leave the internet. Y'all know what he's talking about. I ain't seen it, so I don't think I want to.
Well, that one was pretty paired up, but no, I'm gonna be honest. That was a pretty sexy episode.
God damn.
Cartoon episode.
The biggest thing I saw was Garnet and Pearl, I
Uh-huh.
believe, they were gonna fuse because Stephen was like, oh, "Wait, y'all
Oh,
can fuse already,"
yeah.
and Garnet's just like
Oh,
sitting
yeah.
there doing all that stuff, and Pearl's just
And
like,
then
"Yes,
just
yes,
like,
take me, take me." It's just like,
or like
what am I
when
watching?
her and Amethyst, I think it was when her and Amethyst fuse, and like her
Yeah.
final dance move, she like literally just like opens her legs.
Yeah.
And Amethyst just dives right in.
Ah,
And it's like,
okay.
it's
then.
kind of that. I mean, to be fair to, you know, my wife was trying to play some Ren and Stimpy for my daughter the other day and had to like, she's like, oh, yeah, right. So, compared to some of the OG Nick shows, particularly like Ren and Stimpy, or
Rocco's Modern Life. Where the frog was always like, look at my eyeballs. Don't you think they're beautiful?
It's comparatively tame to that stuff, and it's also the kind of thing like if a kid watches it, they're gonna watch it with a different context than when an adult watches it. So that's why it's a good show to
Oh
appeal
Lord, and
to.
Stimpy. You can go on Facebook right now, and there's an episode where they're cutting logs.
Oh Jesus!
But he has like the saw as his junk.
I was like, oh, new Ren and Stimpy episode. Oh.
That's why I stopped watching it.
No, because like not long after Ren and Stimpy got canned, those creators, what was the name of that website? It was like Spumco or something like that, and it was pretty much just porn. I mean,
Yeah.
it was just like titties and ass and.
I definitely know if you get Ren and Stimpy uncut.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of craziness, which, by the way, available at Best Buy, in case anyone's wondering.
But no, she was just playing like one of the songs from Ren and Stimpy, and then she was like, "Oh,
this is no.
I forgot why everybody actually liked it back in the day. This is not a children's show."
I think when we were just kids, we were just laughing at the weird goofiness.
Yeah.
But you know, growing up now, I'm looking back at those shows. It's just like we were fucked up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, there's even some episodes. There's some stuff in SpongeBob that's
Yeah.
They sneak that in there, and like that's kind of what makes a show good. Is like if you can slide it in, ha, ha. If you can like slide the adult humor in, so that the adults get it and the kids don't. That's the good writing. And
But if you just have it out.
But if it's just like, I can't let my child listen to this because, and getting back to our original point, I think Steven Universe is a lot like that.
Well,
for the most part,
I look at her work with Steven Universe. I can't remember the actual creator's name.
It's Rebecca Sugar.
Okay, I'll leave the names up to you.
Okay.
But I know she also created Regular Show. Now, personally, I love Regular Show because it was anything but.
I think she worked on Adventure Time, actually.
And Adventure Time, there's a lot of whispers and rumors.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing has really been confirmed. So, as I said, I gotta make this clear. This is just rumors. But apparently, when Adventure Time started out, it was a set agenda. You know, it was just, it's a boy and his magical stretchy dog going on adventures, but then they started getting creative differences between the teams and everyone started doing their own thing. I said, these are just whispers and rumors, but when you look at the beginning of Adventure Time compared to the end, there was definitely a big change because the focuses went from Finn and Jake to more of Bubblegum, Marceline, and a lot of the other side characters. And then obviously Bubblegum and Marceline was growing more affectionate.
Well, what I had heard was that the creator of Adventure Time, I can't remember his name though.
He has a giant ass beard. That much I remember.
But the creator of Adventure Time, he had like a complete story in mind, right? A beginning, a middle, and that show was supposed to have come to an end. I don't know, like at what episode, or even if he got to the end that he originally had. But like he had an end that he wanted the show to have. And then Cartoon Network was basically like, you can't, because we need more seasons of this. So then he had to stretch the story out, and then you can kind of tell, like how the story is getting stretched out, and then like all of a sudden it's like, okay, it's over now.
Yeah.
So like
especially the filler episode, the one where they're like computer generated.
I mean, there's a lot of filler episodes.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of them.
Just like Naruto.
They're better than Naruto's filler episodes.
Because it's not
None
as
of
long.
them. I mean,
It's
they're
not
only
as
15
long.
minutes and they're interesting enough that I don't fall asleep. They might be weird, but at least they're not. Me watch Naruto practice the Rasengan for 17 episodes.
Or the greatness of Dragon Ball and watching Goku and Frieza fight for like
5 minutes.
5 minutes. When reality, each episode is 22.
There's a good explanation. Is like they are, and they always are, fighting at such high speed that to us mortals, for us to be able to comprehend it, they gotta stretch that shit out to like 3 hours.
Yeah, I'm a press X to doubt. We'll see
That's
what happens.
the canon explanation as to why Namek actually exploded in 5 minutes, even though we got, however, I don't even know how many episodes off the top of my head.
Listen, kids, if you want to watch the gloriousness of Dragon Ball, just watch Kai.
I mean, Kai is good, and I really like Kai. Kai is, but I mean, if you want to watch the real quality Dragon Ball, watch DBZ Abridged.
Don't worry about Abridged.
That is.
There you
go.
go.
Look, I'm gonna make the argument here that DBZ Abridged did the Cell games better than the original Dragon Ball. Not even DBZ, not even Kai. Team 4 Star's take on the Cell games is the best one.
I think the best line I personally like, we were sitting there going, it's like, even Yamcha was on the list. Why was I on the list? Halftime entertainment.
Oh,
and then building up to it, they had all the Cell verses, which is still going on, by the way.
Yeah, that channel's never gonna stop doing that.
It's not, but
that's paying his mortgage right now.
I still think the greatest one is Ugandan Knuckles.
I don't know. I liked when they had Dio making it.
I like
the JoJo reference. I like JoJo references.
Wait, if he's English, why is he speaking Japanese?
I'm a sucker for a good JoJo reference. Anytime, anywhere, any place. But no, like here's my argument for the Dragon Ball Z Bridge being better. It's like there's more of an emotional payoff for Gohan because of this like borderline child abuse that he's been through.
Yeah. But he's a Saiyan.
When he finally snaps against Cell, it is way more satisfying. And it was satisfying. Let's not say that, the father-son Kamehameha, that wasn't as satisfying. That was like maybe the best moment in Dragon Ball, arguably. But the way they built it up in Dragon Ball Z Abridged made that whole arc better when Gohan finally...
I mean, look, most people will agree Goku's not the best father.
I mean...
He does love his wife, and he definitely loves his family, but maybe it's just a Saiyan thing.
Well...
You look at how Vegeta treats everybody.
Yeah, I mean, it is a Saiyan thing, but apparently it's not, because, I mean, you look at the Broly movie, and it's like, apparently they weren't all assholes. I mean, apparently some of them were good parents that cared about their children. You got 3 decent in their own way dads. I mean...
Bardock.
Yeah, I mean, Bardock... Paragus is not.
Yeah, he just misused Broly.
He did. I think he started out with good intentions, but then he got so focused on the hate when he's. And I mean that situation driving buddy nuts. I mean that is the craziest shit planet I've seen in a lot of fiction. That one's hard to beat. It's the entire ecosystem is these things feed on the blood of these dogs, and then the dogs eat the things back. It's how does that work?
I don't know, but it worked. And then we got these 2 Saiyan assholes that kill everybody once in a while. And poor Broly, his only friend was a giant dog that his dad went... here's something interesting I do want to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
With a lot of shows, mainly just entertainment in general, it seems that, in my personal opinion, there's definitely much more politicalness
Mm-hmm.
being involved. Now, one thing that you might know about the Dragon Ball Super is in the Japanese version, and as well in the manga, who were the two female Saiyans? Cliffa and.
It was cauliflower and kale.
Yeah, it's like in the Japanese version, they're just really close friends.
All right, so full disclosure, I haven't actually watched the English dub because why would I?
Because you don't want to hear Goku sound like an old woman.
Oh God, I mean, I don't want to say I hate Sean Chimmel because like I grew up with the English dub of Dragon Ball Z. Like I mean, I started watching Dragon Ball Z English dub. It was in our area. It was actually on Fox on Sunday mornings.
Really?
Yeah. For whatever reason.
Reasons.
Yeah. they were just so like I was actually watching them before it was on Toonami.
Oh my God! It used to come on 4Kids too, but it was like heavily censored.
Yeah.
That's when I started watching it. When it was.
Yeah. No, the one they put on Sunday mornings was like not censored.
No, the one I saw was censored. But anyway, continue.
So yeah, I grew up with Sean Shields, but you know, once I started like watching the actual like the original Japanese, like the subs or whatever, and then go back to listen, I just don't really like him. Goku.
I'm the opposite.
Oh yeah.
Because I hear like the only voice actor that sounds like he's legit is Vegeta. Now maybe that's because I grew up with the English version and I prefer the English version, but I hear like Trunks and Piccolo and Goku talking. I'm just like,
you gotta watch more. You gotta watch more subbed manga or subbed anime.
Yes, I'm going to watch sub manga.
Watch some sub manga. I mean, that's a thing. There's like I'm sure there's some sub manga.
It's just instead of reading it, it's just on a tablet. Just
I mean, they got. I'm sure there's like some motion comics or something out there.
Well, what I was saying back to the theory of the point is, for some reason in the dubbed American version, they made the two female Saiyans a couple.
Yeah, I heard about that. It was. I think it's like two different takes on like the relationships of these characters because like when it did air in the Japanese and people watched it, they're like, well, are they a thing? Because of Kale's reaction to cauliflower, she goes Super Saiyan Berserk, whatever they call the ripoff of Broly's form.
Apparently, she's the legendary Super Saiyan of Universe 6.
Yeah, I mean,
Broly is the version of Universe 7.
Yeah, because like, all right, cauliflower and Kale and that other kid,
the prince-looking guy.
Yeah, like
I can't remember his name.
I can't even remember his name right now because it's so much.
Vegeta taught him to go Super Saiyan, and
They're
then he taught them how to.
They're basically he's Vegeta, and cauliflower is Goku, and Kale is Broly.
Yeah.
But everything is like reversed, kind of, and so
instead of being all muscular, they're all skinny.
Yeah. And they don't have tails, yet their power levels are like, their base power levels without trying or powering up or whatever is like right up there with, our Saiyans, and they haven't, had to work for it, basically.
This is true.
Because no tails is better than having a tail, apparently. Which, it plays out in the series, because, like,
does.
The tail is a weakness, and as soon as someone cuts it out after a certain amount of time, they're just stronger.
Or in Goku and Gohan's case, they cut it off and then it grows back.
A couple. Once you cut it off to the point that it won't grow back anymore, you basically get a power boost. And I don't know if it was meant to be that way.
Or they just needed a reason to get rid of the tail.
He literally forgot. When it came to Trunks and Goten, he literally forgot Saiyans were supposed to have tails.
It works. I mean, they're half-breeds.
It just works. Yeah, but
I do agree with you. When you see them how they act in the Japanese version, then it gets brought over to us Westerners. It can be confusing. It's just
I think it was an. I don't want to say it's an obvious jump in logic to make, but it was something a lot of people were assuming before they did the English dub, and the English dub of Super is very fan servicey.
explain.
Well, just a lot of like I can't think of any examples right now. And like I said, I haven't really watched a lot of the English dub, so a lot of it is just stuff I read about. One good example is actually, do you remember Purple Drink Vegeta? Like,
Yes.
yeah. So he's actually voiced by the guy who is basically over 9,000 Vegeta from the I guess the Ocean dub, right?
Yes.
Someone's gonna point out if I'm wrong about that.
I'm
But
sure they will.
I think the Ocean dub Vegeta. I'm probably anyway. He was originally Vegeta who delivered the "It's over 9,000" line.
And he meant to say 8,000, but
Yeah, it's supposed to be 8,000.
the greatest
But,
mistake became one of the best memes ever.
9,000 does sound better than 8,000.
It does.
I feel like they probably just changed it because it just sounded better. But whatever.
It is crazy when you look at Dragon Ball, though. I mean,
It has a grand history of the
it really
dub
does.
basically being shit. And,
Whoa, now there's probably someone right there who's flaming.
but that the bad translations become iconic. Is what I was getting at. It's like the translations aren't the best, and dub translations are never exact, but a lot of the things they get wrong become iconic. You know,
Like the 9,000.
yeah, like the 9,000. You know, a lot of the Beerus movie, the Battle of Gods movie, is like really different. Basically, to make Goku look more heroic.
When in reality, he was kind of a hothead.
I mean, he basically just wanted to fight somebody because that's Goku's character. See, he was always meant to be a subversion of the shonen protagonist.
Right.
He's not never, but generally speaking, he's not trying to do the right thing. He's not trying to protect the world. He just wants to fight really strong guys. He's selfish and he's childish, and he has endangered people many, many times just to get a better fight.
And yet somehow he has a kid, regardless of knowing what a wedding and a kiss was. Because he never kissed his wife. But Abridged gave us the glorious answer that we've all been seeking for. Did you hear what Funimation's doing with Dragon Ball Z, though?
What's that?
They're re-releasing it in Blu-ray, but this one's like some special
Oh yeah,
collector.
I've heard about
That's
that.
like what, $350?
It's
or
ridiculously
more than that?
expensive. They took all the grain out of it, so all the colors are basically just melted together.
That's one of the. That's actually one of
aspect
the
ratio,
issues I heard with the Blu-ray version is the colors just went.
The cropping is terrible. These are all the things I've heard, and all the things I've seen, because I've seen, you know, examples of this and clips and sales and whatever, and I agree with the consensus that this looks terrible, and I would not spend any amount of money for it, let alone $300 and some dollars.
If you look, you know, at my collection, you know, I spent $20 easily on the entire digitally remastered of Dragon Ball. That's as much as I spend on something.
Yeah, there's no point, especially in this day and age, to like to expect people to pay that much money for a remaster, which is not a really intelligently done remaster. You know.
Well, they expected people to pay for Crash and Spyro.
I mean, I guess they can always give it a try. Especially if you're doing like a remaster of something. I mean, I don't know how much it actually costs to produce, but you know, it's definitely a cost benefit thing that I'm sure they look at.
Well,
And they also did this one kind of like a Kickstarter, where it was like, we're only going to make it if we get X number of pre-orders.
I hate that. That is so foolish.
It's a smart business decision.
I get it.
Because, like, look, if you look at Kickstarters for entertainment stuff, like comics, oh God, are we going to get into Comics Gate? Am I about to take us down the Comics Gate road?
I'm already part of the Phantom Menace, so fuck it, go for it.
Like, look, if you look at the way they're doing comics and the way all these independent people, not just the Comics Gate people, but I mean, I did order a couple. I got Cyberfrog and Lost Souls.
You should let me know how Cyberfrog is.
You don't care about Lost Souls? Because that's the one I'm actually more excited about.
Yeah, but I watch even Van Skyver as
well. Anyway, it's a very smart business model. Because, like, you're not really risking anything you can't afford.
True.
You know, you might do some art and maybe an artist doesn't get paid. Or maybe you have to pay an artist out of your own pocket. Which can be expensive. I mean, a quality comic book artist is not cheap, but a lot of them aren't working. That's a whole other video.
Yeah. We'll save that for another time.
There's a lot of them that are not working that would love to work. And meanwhile, comic books make me sick. I look at some of these and I'm like, why couldn't comic books be at this level of quality? Like 15 years ago when I was trying to break into the comic book industry, because I would be like the god king of comic books right now. Like, well, my God.
There's not many comics I read nowadays, and Star Wars comics have kind of fell off for me because, look, maybe it's just me, but what we saw Luke become in The Last Jedi, and then when you read a lot of the comics, they were always praising him up like, you know, he's going to be the Return of the Jedi, he's going to be the Savior, you know, he's going to do all this good stuff, but the reality is he doesn't.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just like such a huge disconnect from Disney. Whoever wrote that script obviously has no idea that there's anything in Star Wars in between, you know, the original trilogy and what they made.
That's we need to save that for another time.
Oh yeah,
because that we can get into that.
Yeah.
Unless I crop the video into multiple.
Yeah, write this down. It's going to be we got parts 2 and 3 already queued up, but yeah.
Well, here's something I want to ask you.
Okay.
Now, you are a Gravity Falls fan, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I recently just got Gravity Falls, watched the whole and you know, I'm very impressed. I thought it was a very good show, especially where Grumple Stan was getting all the radiation. He smashed it. He's like, corn bass. He's like, wait, I'm alone. I can curse for real. But in the entertainment industry, especially going back to Star Wars with Lucasfilm and including Bob Iger at Disney, there's a strong push for more females. More female heroes, more female here, more female there. And in fact, going back to the comics, almost every single issue I've been reading of Star Wars comics, the Disney era ones, there's always a new female protagonist. There's always a new one. And I just want to ask you, as we know, Gravity Falls, it was left open. They could easily do another 2 seasons because, you know, next summer. But if with the new ideology that is infecting a lot of these industries, how would you feel if they brought Gravity Falls back, but instead of focusing on both Dipper and Mabel equally, it was more of like, this is Mabel's show and Dipper's just a support?
Well, I would not like that. Dipper and Mabel work because they're Dipper and Mabel.
Yeah.
Neither one of them is. They're not. I don't know how to say this. They're not good solo protagonists.
No.
I think that's the best way I can put it.
Because
I love this show.
Yeah.
And I love Dipper, and I love Mabel, and I love Grunkle Stan. I love pretty much all the characters in it. They're not good protagonists on their own. Mabel is. They're both left to their own devices. They're both a little selfish and petty.
But the point of the show was for them to
and
be
the point
together,
of the show
to work
is
off
that
each
they
other.
make each other better. You know, you got this whole family element. I mean, it's a really good show, and I mean, I like the philosophy that they're left to their own devices. They're going to be selfish because that's like people are.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, if you don't have anybody you care about, there's no reason for you to not be selfish. Unless you just feel tremendous guilt about, and there's nothing wrong with being selfish.
Well, speaking of the guild, they even had the episode with the unicorn
Mm-hmm.
where he kept fucking with Mabel, and then eventually she snapped and was like, "Ah! They gave us their treasure, and we got unicorn hair and unicorn blood."
No, if they made a Gravity Falls with just Mabel, unless they completely rewrote Mabel as a character or gave Mabel another character to work off of, who would basically just be Dipper. Because, like, I mean, Mabel doesn't have, you know, Dipper has, like, the curiosity, which drove the plot forward.
Yeah, especially with the book, and then he discovered the blacklight, and there was more written.
Yeah. And, you know, if it had just been Mabel there, she would have spent the summer chasing boys. And, you know, that's not because Mabel's a girl. I mean, that's just her character. You know, she's not curious the way Dipper is. I mean, you could switch the roles, you know. I'm not saying it's inherently because she's a female and he's male. I mean, you could have Mabel as like this little miniature Dana Scully. Well, not Dana Scully, she's a skeptic. But you know, this little miniature investigator, and you could have Dipper, this boy who's just obsessed with chasing girls all summer. You'd have the same show, but you know,
Instead of him being obsessed with Wendy.
Yeah.
Wendy.
Instead of obsessed with one girl, it's like, oh, I got a new girlfriend every week. You know, you could completely reverse the roles.
You could,
Make
especially
all the
since
male characters, female characters.
especially
you'd have the
since
same
the
show.
next season they would obviously be older,
Mm-hmm.
and so the Dipper, you know, hormones are going to start hitting him. So
Mm-hmm.
it's easily they can do that. So I mean,
Yeah.
make it happen. Season 3 better come.
But you just neither one of those characters works without the other.
No, but you know,
and without the ensemble around it, but in particular them working together.
speaking of the family element, remember Codename Kids Next Door?
Yeah, I mean, I was never really big into that show. So
Well, you're obviously older than I am.
I was kind of in the wrong age demographic, I think, for that one.
Well, there's one particular scene out of the whole like series, including the movie, that does kind of still resonate with me, and the show was shenanigans. That was the point. The point of the show was shenanigans, and it did its job